We're now on Dcad lesson 18D, and we're continuing with project evaluation. And in our last lesson, we looked at both the as far as the large garage door header was concerned, we looked at both the loading from floor joists, which we're going to run in the long direction, and also we looked at the feasibility of utilizing this existing 13.5 inch by 5.5 inch glulam beam, and both the joist system running in the long axis and the beam will work for our new application. This beam will now actually in effect be a floor beam. So we still have a few things that we have to evaluate to make sure that this project's a go, and dealing specifically with that glulam garage door header, we need to make sure that the trimmers that are supporting that header are still adequate for the additional loads that we're imposing on them. And we also need to make sure that the footings are still going to work. And so what we're going to do right now is take a look at those two items. And we already have the the beam already calculated, so we can take some of the information from that, and what we'll do is we'll use the Boise Cascade system to evaluate the trimmers. That software does not deal with footing, so we'll have to deal with that with my normal StructCalc program. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do now is take a look at the beam calculations themselves, and as you can see, I've already get down there to where we need to be, D0604, and I want to look at per floor beams, and you can see that I looked at it a couple different times. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that PDF of that beam so I can see what these loads are. And we have a live load and a dead load and a snow load. So what I want to do is I'm going to open up my Excel calc file so that I can take a look at that and just kind of summarize some of these loads. So what we have, I'll do that momentarily. So what we have here is we have a snow load of 3218 and a live load of 330, and those I'm going to combine into a single live load on the column. And we have a dead load at each end of 2949. So I'm going to click on to our Boise Cascade program, and you just type in BC Calc, and it comes up, and you go ahead and enter everything in. And I'm just not going to go through that whole thing again. But we also have the beam calculations already in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and open up the new column, and just click on this icon here. And so now we have a new column ready to go. So I'm just going to double click that, and you can see from the hourglass that it's loading something. Okay, so here we have just a blank column, and it's saying that the height is 8 foot. We're going to use 7 foot because that's the height of the bottom of the garage door header that's actually going to be taking the loads. And so I'm going to just change this to just hit 7 there and hit tab. And so that's been entered in. And so you can see up here we have our various boxes that we need to take a look at. And as far as our bracing is concerned, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to assume at this point in time that this column is unbraced. So I'm going to go to the settings, and it's neither repetitive, and we're not worried, about concentric loading at this point in time. I'm going to click on loads now, and so here you can see that at an axial load, and that's really what we're going to be talking about here. And there's different kinds of loading that you can deal with. So before I do that, I'm going to click back on my PDF file of the beam so I can just record these and put them in. So if we're going to have 330 and 3218 as live loads, that's going to come out to let's see, that would be 35 3548. Okay, 3548 is going to be our live load. So I'm going to go back over here and click on this guy, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And live load, I'm going to just activate that. And I'm going to go over here in the live load. That was 3548, so I'm just going to type in 3548 for that. And for the dead load, let's see, go down to here and see what that was. Click on my PDF again. Dead load was 2949. I'm just going to select that. Actually, Control C, back over to here, and just put that in. Control V. Oops, didn't do it. It didn't like the copy and paste apparently. So that's okay. It's 2949, and so I'm just going to go over here now and type in 2949. Okay, that's better. Now I'm going to, there's no other loads that we're dealing with on these columns. We're just dealing essentially with the beams. So now I'm going to click on, I need to describe this. This is from, description of the loading is from the, let's see, it should be D. Yeah, I've already done this. Cheated. Okay, and now I'm going to save. Oh, we want to look at eccentricity also. Let me click on this again. Oops. Click on eccentricity, and it's recommending 0.251 inches, so I'm just going to go ahead and call that good. Save. Okay, so now that we have our loads, you can see our loads in here. What we want to do next is we want to take a look at products. You know, what are our trimmers composed of? And essentially, our trimmers were double 2x6 Douglas fir number 2s, but we also included with that, because these are all laminated together, nail laminated together, our king stud. So essentially, we have 3 2x6s. That are dealing with these axial loads. So I'm just going to scroll on down here to DF number 2 and click on that. And I'm going to, the width is 1.5 inches, and our depth is 5.5. And we're going to say that there are 3 plies, because it essentially is. And we have that. Okay, so so now we have all these guys all in. Actually, what I want to do at this point in time is you can see our 3 plies here. I'm going to go ahead and take a look. And so now I'm just going to check here on analyze the member, see how it looks. And I click on that, and it looks like we're good for axial load compression. Bending front back, so we're good in all areas there. So those triples actually work. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and save this. I want to save. And you can see it's already here. I've been here before. So click on that and save. Okay. So now we've completed our trimmer calculations for the garage door header, and we know that those existing trimmers are actually going to work. So, and actually what I can do there is go ahead and take a look at our analysis here. Click on that. And we can see where we are, and it basically tells us what our loading is, and gives us our total value here. And so we know that we're good to go with this. I'm going to go ahead and print this, and I'm just going to print it to my Qt PDF. I'm going to print, and I already have one there from previous, but that's okay. And I'm going to click Save. Yes, it does. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to deal with our footings to make sure that they're okay, and we're going to use this information from our column or our trimmers printout to enter in to make sure our footing is actually going to work. So we have our live load of 3548 and our dead load at 2949, and I'm not seeing anything added in for the actual weight of the wood. Let me check that. So what I mean by that is the weight of the 3 2x6s themselves, and I've just checked that out, and it's roughly 50 pounds or a little bit less than that, and so that's really pretty easy to calculate and add to this. But we want the total loads when we're dealing with the footings to make sure that we're okay there. So I've already started up struct calc, and so we know we're okay with the trimmer, so now we just need to check the footings. And in order to check the footings, we're going to need to take a quick look at our drawing, which is here, to see what we have over there already. So I'm going to zoom up here, and let's see, that's note 47 referring to these two footings. So now I'm going to slide over here and take a look at note 47, and it says they're 30 inch by 30 inch by 10 inch. So with the necessary rebar. So 30 inch by 30 inch, 2.5 by 2.5. Okay, so back to the trimmers. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just click on struct calc and go to the correct directory, and I'm going to click on footing, and we're going to do a new footing here, and I'm going to call this D0604 UFB-1 footings. Okay, and so here, let's see, our live load is 3548, and our dead load is 2949. Okay, and compressive strength, all that looks good. Reinforcement cover 3 inches. Okay, column width. Okay, so our width is 4.5 inches. 4.5, and our breadth is 5.5. And these are wood, so we're not dealing with base plates. Footing depth is going to be 10 inches, and this typically starts out at 3 foot. But since we already have 2.5 feet designated for those existing footings, which we don't want to have to redo, it's kind of expensive. So I'm just going to put in 2.5, and we're going to click on see if that works. So the footing design is adequate. The footing area required is only 4.73 feet, and we actually are provided 6.25. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to also add, because we have a garage slab over portion of it, and also a concrete driveway apron, and those are typically like 4 inches, but I'm going to say they're 6 inches, so we can add that. So usually what I do here is I just click on soil weight above footing, and I'm just going to say it's 0.5, 6 inches or so. And the weight I'm going to say is 150 pounds per cubic foot because it's concrete. And now we'll check and see if it still flies. Yeah, we're still good. So essentially, let's see, we have our 2.5 foot width, and we're dealing with square footings and all that. And the footing area required is 5 feet now. And footing area provided is 6.25. This also gives footing width required. So we're in pretty good shape with this footings. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now I'm going to print it as a PDF also. And that's going to go into our footings. And we already have one there, obviously. So I've checked this out before I cheated, I confess. Okay, we're just going to keep that. And now we'll open up and take a look at that report. Actually, we could take a look at it right here, but I'm just going to take a look at it in the actual location. And it's given us our reinforcing and all of that, and we're in really pretty darn good shape. So I think we're good to go. So anyway, we know now that the garage door header is good all the way through, not just for in terms of carrying the additional loads we're going to impose on it, but also in terms of the trimmers and all the way down to the footings. That all this entire project looks good to go at this point in time. So that concludes Dcad lesson 18D, still dealing with project evaluation. And so that basically concludes the project evaluation phase of the design process. I mean, we're still going to have to deal with wall bracing, lateral design, but I'm confident that even if we can't come up with a way to meet the wall bracing requirements prescriptively, because we have our 2 4-foot panels, one at each end of the garage door opening, we're going to be in pretty good shape for our wall bracing. So that concludes Dcad lesson 18D.